Theme this month is non-attachment. And my topic today is there's always another way. There's always another way. We've been working with that spirit definition. I get these downloads and these letters that are in a series called Letters from the Infinite, and there's a dictionary that's formulating as well. And it always describes these spiritual qualities as a place and space in the universe, a convergence of energy where there's something that's already here, and we have to bring something to the table that meets it in order for us to really experience the spiritual quality. It's not that it's not there, but we can't experience it until this convergence happens. And it said for us to experience non-attachment, this is it. The non-attachment, it says, is where your desire for certainty. Let's think about that a second. Your desire for certainty dissipates into my infinite possibilities. The infinite possibilities are already there. It's already there. But we won't know non-attachment until our desire for certainty dissipates. It's like the fog. Okay? And I like that word dissipate because you don't have to struggle with it. You don't have to argue with it. You don't have to fight it. You don't have to bomb it. You don't have to do anything to get rid of it. You let it dissipate. You let it dissipate. You let the infinite possibilities dissipate it, just like the sun dissipates the fog. That there's a heat, and the fog can't stand there in the light of the heat. All the desire for certainty is going to dissipate in the light of the infinite possibilities. Because the only way we get so much desire for certainty is when we don't know there are infinite possibilities. The more we desire certainty, the less we are convinced of the infinite possibilities. The more convinced we are of the infinite possibilities, the more we want to let go of that desire. Because we recognize that there's so much more than meets the eye. There's so many opportunities that we never thought of. There's grace that's there that we've never experienced before, and we give way to it. I'm not saying I have arrived, but I am so glad that I am not where I used to be. I am so glad that I'm not living in that fear. And so Spirit let us say, just because you're not in control doesn't mean it's out of control. In those days that's when I believed that if I wasn't in control, that somehow or another it was going to be out of control, that's a lot of burden. That's a lot of burden. And how glad I am to know now I'm not that smart. That as smart as I thought that I was, I'm not that smart. And I don't have to be that smart. That I am not smart enough to micromanage the universe. I am not smart enough to be figuring out what God or the great is, or the I am, or whatever it is you call it. I'm not smart enough to figure out what it needs to be doing, when it needs to be doing it, how it needs to be doing it, with whom on my timetable. I'm just not that smart. And newsflash, you aren't either. You just may not have figured it out yet. But the story doesn't stop there. The story doesn't stop with just, I'm not that smart. There's something that is. There's something that is. There is a wisdom and there is a power. There is an intelligence in the universe. And I know from an ontological standpoint, this is one of those things that trips us up. Is how can there be something that is that big and universal to be over all the heavens and the stars and the earth, and also somehow involved in me and my little personal life? Kind of boggles the mind. How can something that big be that concerned and involved with little old me? Newsflash. Big and little bears no relevance to the universe. Big and little bears no relevance. You don't have your own gravity. You don't have your own electricity. You don't have your own magnetism. We are part of something. We are a part of it. That's just the way that it is. There's only one life. There's not a different life in the redwood than a weed. It's the same life. The same force that is making the planets roll around in the universe and spin, it's the same energy that's making the cells in your body temple roll around. It's not different. It's not different energy. It's all the same. Just breathe that in for a moment. It is all the same. And it is everywhere all at the same time. There's not some music that's in the Himalayas that's not in here. There's not more mathematics in China than in Chicago. There's not more beauty in Cambodia than there is in Canada. All of it is everywhere simultaneously. Just breathe that in. Anything that can be known is available to be known everywhere. Anything that can be known is available to be known anywhere. There's no particular spot on the earth that you have to go to, because the truth is only going to be right there. That's part of the definition of truth. Is that if it's really true, it's everywhere. If it's that true, listen to what I'm saying. If it's that true, then anybody at any point in time in history could have figured it out. In the most remote corner of the earth at any time in history. If it is that fundamentally true. The truth can't just be in a book. Most of the world today still can't read. The idea of literacy within humankind ain't all that long. Even our religious traditions, they're not all that old. I was raised very fundamentalist, evangelical, charismatic, Pentecostal Christian. But even Christianity is only 2,000 years old. Within the scheme of human history, that doesn't even get like a blip on the screen of all of humanity. Like, what were people doing before then? Hello? How were they living before then? How were they making it before then? You understand what I'm saying? This is why when you pick up sacred texts, you'll hear them saying so much of the same thing about life, about the human condition, about the connectedness of us all, about nature, about the great I am, because you can't have a patent on truth. Nobody can own it. It's everywhere. And the good news is that it's where you are. That is our ego that is so puffed up as to believe that somehow or another, the entire universe has singled us out to not be there and available to us. Woo, that's a lot of ego. Like the storms of life are going to be coming through. And they're going to go, 5630 Soquel Drive, Soquel. No. We're not going to rain right there. We're going to rain all around, but we're not going to rain right there. And we think that about raining blessings too. Like somehow or another it's going to rain all over the place, but it's not going to rain on me. That's too much attachment to your ego. It's too much attachment to your uncertainty. We allow our attachment to uncertainty to blind us to all the good that's out there. Everything you ever want to know about life, just look at nature. Nature will not be denied. There is always another way. Nature is never attached to any one particular anything. Listen to what I am saying. Nature is never attached to any one thing. Life never says, that tree fell, I am never going to make another tree. The ocean doesn't say, that wave crashed. There's never going to be another wave. Life isn't like that. The seasons come and the seasons go. Our life has seasons because we are a part of life. It's not always springtime. Sometimes it's winter. Sometimes it's fall. But each one of those is purposeful in our life the same way that they're purposeful in the world. We live here in California with all this bright sunshine. And we see what's happened when we've had nothing but bright sunshine almost 4 years. It's called a drought. You need water. You need the balance. If you have nothing but sunshine all the time and you don't have some clouds bringing some rain, you're out of balance. But if you have so much attachment to the sunshine that you're busy saying, oh, God, don't bring me no rain, we're out of balance. See, there's always another way. We get so attached to the outer form, we're missing the underlying spiritual quality. We're talking about that in our classes now. How every desire for certainty that we have is rooted in some kind of spiritual quality that we really want. My mentor Beckwith used to say, behind every human aberration is a spiritual aspiration. Behind every human aberration is a spiritual aspiration. When we do not know who we are, when we do not know that we are perfect, whole, and complete, we think it's all outside of us, and we're busy chasing after it. So those things that we are trying to manifest, those things we are trying to obtain, those things that we are trying to bring into our experience, for the most part, we're doing that because we think that once we get that, then we will be something. I have to have this relationship so that I can feel secure and safe. I have to have this relationship so I can believe that I'm validated, so that I can be seen, so that I can be loved, I can feel appreciation. I've got to have this job because that's going to be my ticket to success. I'll have financial security. I will have a chance to make a contribution. I'll have a chance to do whatever. You know, I got to have this thing because it's going to bring me that. And we believe that we're not that until we get those things. But it's the other way around. You already are that. And when you know that's who you are, then the natural byproduct is what you're looking for. What you're looking for, you're looking with. You are the love. It's not that the relationship is going to make you love. You are already the love. It's not that you are going to be a success when you get the job. You'll get the job because you are naturally successful. Most of us want to have the guarantee, the certainty we're going to win the race before we get in it. But you got to get in it first. We're waiting for life to give us some kind of guarantee. Why? Because we are so afraid if it doesn't happen that particular way, it is never, ever going to happen again. That's not the way that life works. Love, joy, peace, power, grace, fulfillment, creativity, any conceivable spiritual quality that you can possibly think of is always available, and it will always come through with your yes. Our uncertainty makes a no. Listen to what I am saying. Your uncertainty makes it a no, because you are in essence saying to the universe, this or nothing. This or nothing. Now, of course, that's impossible, because there's always something happening in the universe. But your experience of it is like taking yourself out of the game. No, I want this romantic love now, with this person now. And anything short of that, there's no love in the world whatsoever. And I'm going to sit here with my bombs and jammies and my little snuggly. Nobody loves me. There's never going to be any love in the world whatsoever. Love don't live here anymore. A house is not a home. I'll never ever breathe again, breathe again, breathe again. You know, I love music, and that's some serious codependent stuff out there. Sometimes I have to stop listening to the songs I like on the for real side, because it plays into that scenario of this or nothing. Are you with me? But there's always another way. Always. If you don't have that particular person, there's 7 billion people on the planet. There's always another way. Don't take your bat and ball and go home. Because life is not turning out the way you want it to turn out. There's always another way. Anything in the bio world has to come to a certain conclusion in that form. Because nothing lasts forever. Everything made of the material bio world is going to shift, and it's going to change. It only has that form for so long. The apple can only be on the tree for so long. And if you don't pick it, it's going to fall. But even then, it still has purpose. Because as it disintegrates on the ground, it then becomes compost that fertilizes the ground. We live in this beautiful ecosystem where everything has purpose and everything has place. So that even feces, even manure is fertilizer. Isn't that extraordinary? The manure and the crop in your life is fertilizer. It increases your fertility. So it's just like the sunshine and the rain. If all you want is the sunshine without any rain, then somehow or another you are wanting fertile soil with no crap. You need some fertilizer up in there. Something that looks like it's dead or decayed or no longer worthy or whatnot. All of that you need to help keep you strong. Don't just take your bat and ball because it's not the way you want it to be. I don't care if we're talking about in your home or if we're talking on the big political scene. Don't take your bat and ball because your candidate ain't on the ballot. Don't take your bat and ball and go home because your candidate is not on the ballot. I've been saying that, and somebody asked me an interesting question about that. It was either last week or the week before. And basically they were saying, well, but what if it looks like the choices are only between two evils? I said, yes. But your voting's not going to change that. Your not voting's not going to change that. If your not voting was actually going to make a difference as to whether one or the other was in the White House or not, then maybe it might make a difference. But it's going to be. It's going to be. I said, and if you do not vote, then what you are doing is giving your proxy to the whole rest of the electorate. When you don't vote, you're saying, I trust you to make the decision for me. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm trusting you to make the decision for me. And furthermore, I really contend this, that if you deliberately boycott something, you forfeit your right to get all in the middle of it and complain about how everybody else is doing it. Listen to what I'm saying. You boycott the family and you don't show up when those hard decisions are being made, don't come back around complaining about what your brothers and your sisters and what everybody else did. Listen to what I'm saying. No. You boycott. You cannot hold people accountable and responsible for something if you didn't take part. Now, if you're going to live on an island and not be involved, hey, okay. But if you're still going to be a part of this nation and particularly have stuff to say about where it's going, then there are choices that have to be made. The rest of the world is looking at us. And I can't imagine us being so entitled as to look at the rest of the world who's holding us accountable for what happens in this election and going, oh, well, my candidate wasn't on the ballot. And the rest of the world saying, but what about the rest of us? You didn't care enough about the rest of us to at least try to influence one way or another? You hear me talk all the time about pain pushes until vision pulls, yes? So I'm going to flip this now. I've never done this before, but it's never felt desperate enough to do it before. I'm always saying pain pushes until vision pulls. And how to get out of the pain to get enough vision to move you forward. Now, I still contend to that. And I believe that despite of whoever is on the ticket, that there is a vision of where we should be as a nation. There is a vision of possibility that we have to hold on to. And simultaneously, that if you can't see clearly now how that's going to happen with the resources or the people who are here, you don't give up the vision. But the twist on this now is get into the pain. I hear people talk all the time, well, it feels like it's the worst between two evils. Then just work with that. If that's what you really believe, then vote that. Look at your pain and say, which would cause me the most pain? And vote the other. If you can't vote vision, then vote pain. In the hood, we used to say, one monkey don't stop no show. That's what we say. One monkey don't stop no show. It doesn't matter who's on the ballot to a certain extent, because change and transformation never happens by just the person that's sitting in the White House. Most of the time, the change and transformation happens in spite of who's in the White House. We're the power. We are the power. There's always another way, but there won't be another way that you can experience if you take yourself out of the game. Don't do the political version of sitting there with your bonbons and Snuggies. I'll never ever vote again. I'll never ever vote again. There'll be another. And hopefully there will be a candidate that will inspire you again. Just like I hope that everybody finds romantic love in their life. But if you don't have that, there will be love. There will be people to love, and what's more important is not who's loving you, but how much are you loving? Are you letting yourself love? Are you giving the love that you have to give? Are you making somebody's life better, easier? Are you bringing compassion? Are you bringing nurturance? It's the same thing. I can hear Bobby Kennedy in my head now. Assassinated in the primary in 1968. A couple of miles from my house while I'm doing a report on him. Less than 90 days after King Jr. was assassinated. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what? Ask what you can do for your country. There is always another way. Justice, equality, fairness. It's just like love and joy and peace. They're everywhere. It's just how much of it are you going to let come through you? When you shut down because other people stop loving you, then you stop loving. you stop being a place for love. If you shut down because of what other people are doing with their vote or with their politics, you shut down. And I learned years ago coming out the closet, never ever allow the smallness of other people's thinking to dictate the fullness of my life. There is always a way. As long as you are here. And even when you're not, and I loved your song, Aliza. When you're saying, like, who said that death is like the end? Like, who said that? Because what I know is that there is life and that there is only life. And when this body temple is no longer worthy of the life incarnate in it, that life keeps on going and leaves that body behind. To compost and be part of the fertilizer of the earth, but the life keeps going. Why do I say this? Because a healing can always take place. It just may not look like what you want. And sometimes crossing over to the other side is the healing. It is the healing. And don't think for a moment it's the other way. Otherwise, everybody that dies fails. I don't believe that. I don't believe that everybody that doesn't get a physical healing has failed. So we got to quit having so much attachment to the certainty of how we think that healing is going to come and to open up to infinite possibilities. Folks, get freed to go on to other dimensions that we can't see. But there's always another way. Always another way. Don't get stuck. I'm going to end on this Bible story that's just in my face right now. And I think I spoke of this not too long ago. The pool at Bethesda. And it's this beautiful story. Out of this story came the song Wading in the Waters. There's this pool, and it's an eddy. It's a whirlpool. And at certain times, it would get activated. And when it would get activated, it was known for having its healing powers. So people would come to this pool and go down into the waters to get healed. The waters get stirred. And that stirring sometimes in Scripture is described as troubled. God's going to trouble the waters. Means it's going to get whipped up. But when it's whipped up, there's healing power for those who dare to get in that water. These images that come from the spirituals are also social justice images, because these songs were being used in the slave days. The freedom train came through the waters. The dogs couldn't pick up the smell. And when the waters were going to be troubled, that means the freedom train is coming through. And people are singing these songs, and it's going stealth. It's going under radar. Oh, Master don't know what they're singing about. Okay. God's going to trouble. Wading in the waters, God's going to trouble the waters. The freedom train is coming along. And in this story, it says that Jesus comes upon this man. And this man is sitting there. And he has his little cot thing. And he's been sitting there coming to these waters steadily for 38 years. And Jesus asked him, well, why are you sitting here? He says, when the water gets stirred, everybody else runs down ahead of me. And there's no man here to help me get down to the waters. And Jesus looks at him and says, pick up your bed and walk. That's where that phrase comes from. Quit waiting around for somebody to help you down. Pick up your bed and walk. And I'm saying that to us here now. There are a lot of us who have the vision. We've been sitting by the pool. Some of us 38 years or more. Complaining about everybody else getting in the healing waters before us. Pick up your bed. Pick up your bed. And I'm going to add this one part because it just tickles me. So the man is rejoicing. And he's so happy. And he's carrying his bed. And then the religious leaders come up to him and challenge him, saying, what are you doing? Why are you carrying your bed? Because it is against the law to work on the Sabbath. And carrying your bed is considered work. They've seen this man. They've seen this man sitting for 38 years. Huh? And they say, he told me to pick up my bed and walk. And they're going to jam Jesus. For creating like the equivalent of civil disobedience by telling this man to pick up his bed and walk. There's a spirit of the law and the letter of the law. So sometimes when you go another way and you pick up your bed and walk, it may fly in the face of the existing status quo that wants you to stay stuck where you were. Attached to their certainty. Heaven forbid there should be too many people picking up their beds and walking. Woo! What kind of disruption? What kind of chaos? You know what? We need some chaos. We need those waters to be stirred. And we need to have the courage to get in them. Remember when I said we're chasing after stuff thinking it's going to make us something? Those brave people who got in the waters were not seeking to get to the north or wherever to be free. Slaves did not get in the water. Free people got in the water. The people who said, what is a free person like me doing unjustly enslaved? I'm out of here. Those are the ones that got in the water. So what are you going to be? The slave looking for the freedom train to come and free you? The person sitting by the side of the water waiting for somebody to carry you down? Are you going to pick up your bed and walk and say, there's another way? I don't have to wait on anybody else. Are you going to be the one that says, I don't care all the experiences that I've ever had in life. I'm not waiting for somebody else to validate me. I know that I'm a child of God. I know that I am something inside, and I am not going to let these circumstances and these conditions shackle me anymore. There's another way. There's another way. And that story, those slaves that are running and they're running and they're running and they're running, and they get to the edge. They go to the cliff and they can hear the dogs barking and they're looking at each other. What are they going to do? They don't know if they're going to die if they jump or not. They don't know. But they know if they go back, they're dead. And they hold hands and say, it's just one more river to cross. It's just one more river to cross. Do you have certainty all the time? No, but there are infinite possibilities. And if you would just jump, quit waiting, speak your word, show up, participate in this thing called life. Let go of so many attachments, and I guarantee you that you will experience infinite possibilities that you would have never known of before. That's a promise. That's a promise. Let's pray.